26 million people confined to their homes and no end in sight. Following a public uproar, Shanghai officials have now allowed parents to stay with children infected with COVID-19. But the full lockdown, which started in parts of China's largest city 10 days ago, has been extended.
Images almost identical to the beginning of the pandemic 2 years ago. Shanghai's residents have been ordered to stay at home. Only supermarkets and pharmacies are still open. For this fish processing factory, the financial toll is catastrophic. According to its supply records, fish was delivered and processed on March 22nd. Since then, production lines have stood still.
2 weeks ago, revenue was just 50,000 yuan, which wasn't even enough to pay my staff.
From 50,000 yuan, about 7,500 euros, that turnover is now zero. A state-owned bank has issued the factory a low-interest loan worth 450,000 euros. Its manager hopes it'll be enough to keep the company afloat during the lockdown.
So I had no access to cash because of the outbreak, and then suddenly this loan provides a lifeline.
No one knows how long the lockdown will last. Even with very low case numbers, Chinese authorities impose curfews, mass testing and seal off entire cities. The case now in Shanghai. State media is reporting that these measures could reduce new infections to zero within 2 weeks. This is also the hope of the owners of shuttered companies and stores who all fear for their businesses.
Let's get more on this from DW's So Tsang-Han in Taipei. So 26 million people on lockdown. How are they reacting?
People's frustration is growing, and it's shocking to see residents of different buildings chanting slogans like "Lift the restriction" or "Give us food" or "We will die from hunger." We also see small rioters trying to rush out to get healthcare, food, and other life necessities. Many more people took to Chinese social media to share their stories. In some extreme cases, threats or self-harm or violence were reported. It's really tough for the government to handle because not just the general public, but the medical staff, police officers, middle-level or senior officials are disgusted by the total lockdown. People just cannot stand it anymore.
And so, with an entire city population confined to their homes, does this mean nobody is out working?
Yes and no. No one is out, but people are still working. In fact, before the total lockdown from March 30th, employees of many firms already set up tents in their offices, or they were put into food and housing in the factory mode with bunk beds in the factory and showers in the toilets. After the total lockdown, the government sent drones to warn anyone who leaves any building. So for most industries, working from home is an option, or they have to implement closed-loop production with employees living, working, and traveling only between 2 points within the factory area. So they are not out, but working.
So let's try to look at the bigger picture here. Economists are predicting this lockdown will cost Shanghai more than 3.5 percentage points in economic growth this year. What is it likely to mean for China's economy as a whole?
Shanghai is the largest and most populous city in China. It contributes the most to its GDP, along with Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. There are reports saying that if Shanghai is closed for 2 weeks, the impact on China's GDP for that month would be about 2%. If it is closed for 1 month, then loss is roughly 4%. China is likely to struggle reaching its growth target of 5.5% this year. It will seriously undermine the confidence of foreign investors and discourage many potential investors, and many foreign companies in Shanghai will have to consider the risk of repeated disruptions or restrictions in the logistics supply chain and choose to downsize or even relocate.
And with the economic toll of its zero COVID strategy mounting, is China likely to stick to this policy?
Yes, one recent commentary piece on the official newspaper explains the logic behind it. China's zero-COVID strategy, compared with the idea of coexisting with the virus, is on the surface a battle of ideas, strategies, but in essence, it is a battle of systems, national power, governance capacity, and even civilization to the Beijing authority. The statement shows that the Chinese Communist Party leadership sees health prevention and epidemic prevention as a battle with the West. Chinese President Xi Jinping wants to use it as a tool to realize his personal achievement at all cost.
DW correspondent So Tsang Han in Taipei. So thank you.